Lorehounds podcast. We're the Lorehounds, your guides to psychohistory. I'm John.
And I'm Marilyn. This is our coverage of the final episode of Season 3 of Foundation on Apple TV+. Season 3, Episode 10, The Darkness. If you want to get in touch with us, send us an email to empire.com or head to our Discord server from the link tree in the show notes.
And if you like what you've heard and you want to support us or get ad-free and bonus content, check the same link tree for our Patreon and Supercast subscription options. We've got plenty of bonus content coming up. Second Breakfast, 11sies.
Yeah.
We're doing musicals next month.
Yeah. The list. It looks fun. Alicia's
also got some Spooktober stuff planned, so it's all going to be
be
coming. This
Alicia.
is the time to subscribe. We do a Christmas thing. A lot of fun stuff. And again, if you want to support us for free, so leave a review on our main podcast feed. That's always a big help. I've seen a couple. Thank you. I know people have been listening, so thank you very much for giving those reviews in.
Yes, that's wonderful. All
right, that's enough housekeeping. I keep it short these days. Let's get right into hot takes.
So.
Let's get into hot takes. What were your hot takes, Marilyn?
Well, I gotta say, I was not a happy camper.
No, me either.
I was. Yeah. Even then, though, there was some magnificent stuff. The scenes between Day and Demerzel were just pitch perfect. I found them very moving and very satisfying. And I'm not sure. We may have encountered our own Markley moment.
I have very mixed feelings on that.
Yeah,
I am not totally sure that we did encounter our own Markley moment.
I don't think we did either. I'm still, there is always hope.
So format-wise, we're not going to do a spoiler talk today because we're going to do a longer spoiler talk on the wrap-up. We're going to do another wrap-up next week. I'm telling you this now, sorry. But let's do a full spoilery wrap-up next week during our finale, our season breakdown.
My thoughts until then.
I mean, say what you want to say, but I'm probably going to edit it out.
You can check my notes. You can check my notes when we get down to that section, and if you see anything you want me to save, just say so.
That's all right.
What are your hot takes, John?
I too was a little down on it when I first, and I watched it right after we recorded episode 9. I know I said I probably should go to sleep, but I want to watch it, and I watched it right afterward.
Oh dear.
And I don't know if it was foundation fatigue, but I really wasn't feeling it that much. On rewatch, I actually liked it quite a lot. I think that it very much lends itself to a rewatch because you go in with expectations.
That was my experience precisely. Rewatch was much better.
Right. I think both times I really did enjoy the Empire parts. It's gruesome, but like this was the kind of twist that you're like, this was inevitable if you look back, right?
Oh, I did even before I looked back.
Yeah. And so I really like the Empire stuff. Like you said, the scenes with Day and Demerzel were wonderful.
Yeah.
The setup of next season with the final shot, I think, is fantastic. I think they're going to do a really good job with that. And even the stuff with the mule. All right, so the mule stuff I thought was the weakest part of it.
I do too.
But now that I know that they're planning to use David Goyer's plan for season 4, I'm okay with, the overall plan for the rest of the show. Basically, they said they're going to follow the outline.
Great.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misheard something somewhere. But I think that they're planning to go forward under the same major plot outline. Who knows what the writing is going to look like? Who knows what the casting is going to look like? The production.
Who knows?
But I feel much better knowing that the plan is going to be as intended. And I am not convinced that is the true mule. I'm going to be honest with you.
No, I'm not either. And I had some particular reasons, which, if it's all right in our final comments section, I'm going to get into.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just want to do a big section on the wrap up, so I don't want to totally exhaust our thoughts.
Sure.
But yeah, I think this episode, I think, was a little bit disappointing at first because it doesn't wrap up everything neatly.
Exactly.
Right?
You're left dangling in the air and saying, what?
And you
that's
want
fun.
it to be wrapped up neatly.
Yes.
That being said, Foundation and Empire, the book, does not wrap up neatly.
Well, that's true.
There is a very big cliffhanger on what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost a similar cliffhanger, right? Is what's going to happen between the Mule and the Second Foundation.
Mm-hmm. They're definitely weaving material from all 7 of the series books in, and not in strict chronological order either. So that makes it interesting.
Right. So I honestly think that this is a good setup for next season. Once I watched it with the thought in my head, this is a setup episode for next season, I like the episode a lot. I think if you go into it and you expect big bang boom, this is going to be a series finale type event where we're going to really wrap it up, I think then it's a disappointing episode. But I don't think it needs to be disappointing. I think you can shift your perspective a little bit and have.
I think I wanted at least 1 or 2 wrap-ups, because that's what we've had in seasons 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me to point to any one thing and say, yes, we had a wrap-up. So
I think we basically got a wrap-up on Empire.
I don't think so.
On Dusk. No?
I don't think so.
I think he's just going to be not.
Well,
I mean, it does seem like we have to pick up pretty soon after, right?
We're
not going to be able to do a big time jump after this.
No. I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Right. So I think it's going to be pretty, jump up and go or in 2 years or whatever it is. Unfortunate, because I think this would be a really great serial type of thing to be watching yearly, right? Annually.
Definitely.
But yeah, I mean, that is what it is. Production schedules are what they are, and that's kind of just modern TV. Overall, I thought set up for next season. Great setup for next season. That's what I want to leave you with. I'm not going to be a downer on this. Like I said, I think if you're listening to this right now and you didn't like the episode, I would recommend you watch it again.
Yes.
With different expectations, because I think you will really enjoy it more, and it'll leave you with a better season as a whole.
Just watch it again, whatever your expectations. I mean, obviously try to come with an open mind, but I'm not sure I did in my second viewing, and it was much, much better anyway. So
Right. Rereads, rewatches, they're always fun because you're thinking less of what's going to happen and more how does it happen.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's get right into the episode breakdown. Let's start with Day and Demerzel.
Yes.
Day carries the brazen head to Demerzel. He bows to her and embraces her, then presents her with the gift. She refuses to reactivate it, and Day does his best to do the repairs himself with reluctant gestures of guidance from Demerzel. Interrupted by the antics of Dusk.
Yes, this was emotionally so very satisfying.
It was like coming back to mom after having a falling out.
It was that. It was also a recognition of the sacrifice that Demerzel inadvertently, certainly, but still was committed to, and might very well have undergone anyway, even if she hadn't been locked into place with it. And I find it interesting. He's in the dining room where the remains of the sacrificial lamb still lie on the table. So there's a fair bit here on sacrifice and one thing and another. And because we have seen all those memories of his from childhood, when he kneels to her and bows literally around, and she opens her arms in the gesture that she had when we saw him as a very young child.
Yeah.
Dawn. It's a very tender moment and very moving. And just so, again, the outrage and the violation of what the first Cleon did to her becomes transparent, because she says she can't sing to the head to clasp with it because it would violate her directive to serve Cleons.
Yeah, I'm going to nitpick on this. Why couldn't Cleon sing? He woke it up once. Why couldn't he just sing to it to wake it up?
When did Cleon wake up the head?
Cleon, not in the scene, but Cleon, when he was in the his trial, he sang and it answered back to him.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Why wake up the head in front of her, and that way it started seeking a clasp, and she'd be free.
Yeah, at that point,
it did seem a little bit like, just do one extra thing, buddy. Like, why are you trying to use the tools?
But you see, at that point, even if he had woken up the head, he would have responded to the handshake because she couldn't, because of her programming. It wasn't so much a question of they couldn't get it to function, because we know they could, as you said. But she just said she could not. And it's heartbreaking because you can see how much she was crying.
Right.
And just incredibly conflicted at this point.
That positronic brain is doing a lot of work there.
Well, talk about being at war with yourself, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really, really pretty earth-shaking. And the two actors just beautifully. And, of course, at the peak moment when you really think she's about to do it, she suddenly says, I have to go. My programming is commanding me to go to the clone tanks. And Day asks, well, what's happening? Says, too many things at once. So we're back to the multicursal path. We're back to the maze.
Right.
She's already in the midst of this incredible conflict.
That just sounds like being a parent. What's happening? Too many things at once.
Yeah. No, that's definitely.
And she is, right? She's got two kids there, and one's acting up to save her.
Yeah. Acting up. Yeah, that's a fine way of putting what's going on. But at the same time, she does what she can because she encounters Quint, who wants to know what's going on, and she tells Quint to take Kali's ninth proof of folding to the librarian. So, her choices about, if I help the Second Foundation, is that, contrary to my programming, and will that be the last nail in the Empire's coffin? And but she does it anyway. And perhaps thinking back, so when Kali said to her, if you have not seen in the future definitively your reason for choosing, then both paths are still open to you, and you can do things without necessarily having an ultimate intent in mind.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting.
I think we're all just farting through life sometimes, That's what Kurt Vonnegut would say.
I have no doubt, but when you're a robot, I'm just not sure you can accept that concept.
Farting through life, that's not a robotic concept?
I tend to doubt it.
And so...
Well, even aside from that aspect of it, yeah. The whole idea that you can ever do anything, quote unquote, thoughtlessly.
Yeah.
Or
that's tough.
Inadvertently or unknowingly or any of those things. Just not.
Right. Yeah, that is that's a tough scene to watch, but a beautiful scene to watch, this whole
yes.
This mother-son thing. And yeah, you want, this is, I think, the strongest scene of the episode, because you want so bad to succeed, right? You want so badly for Day to finally do something selfless.
Which I think you could argue he already has in many respects.
Yeah, but I mean, you want him to successfully do it, right? You want him to succeed in his ultimate goal here, which is to do something really selfless, not for humanity. Although, as Day said in last episode, like, saving her would be enough, right?
Yes. Which is also a sign of humility,
Right.
It can get very egotistical, say, I'm going to save humanity, look at me.
Right.
Whereas in this instance, he's trying to atone.
We were just chatting about a book series I'm reading off air, and one of the lessons that one of the main characters has to learn is you can't save everyone. And it's unfair to put that on yourself, and it's toxic to put that on yourself after a certain point. You can't save everyone. You can't save everyone.
Yep. And you have to be willing to accept that and not let it inhibit your capacity to do any saving at all.
Ready to go to Dusk's big day?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
I saw this scene. I was like, Marilyn is not going to be happy.
I'm
boosted
telling you.
So what's this on the Pukila scale? If a zero is neutral, 0 is the Rings of Power season 1.
Well, it's choppy, but you got to understand, John. I held my 5-week-old grandson go, and that more than anything else was just made this for me just utterly awful. Just incredibly ghastly.
I think the baby thing was so. I haven't even read what happens yet, but the baby thing was like the laser beam, like disintegrating it. That I
wondered about that too.
I was kind of like less bothered by it because it was so unrealistic. Do you know what I mean?
If I hadn't just told my grandson, I might have been. But yeah. I'm sorry. It just no.
I'm just saying the strewn about body parts were bothering.
So, well, they were bothering me equally, I guess.
Okay.
At the end of the day, but it was.
Let me give us our synopsis here.
Yes.
Dusk goes through the motions of his ascension preparations. He allows his aura to be removed, but walks past his nanite removal appointment to obliterate every clone of Cleon in existence. He baits protecting the baby that would soon be Dawn, only to destroy both her and the baby with a laser, leaving only a partial skull remaining of Demerzel. He then murders Day and sits on the middle throne, ordering the other two removed.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be that Major Domo. I can't remember the name of his office.
I can't remember him either, but boy, is he in for it if he ever steps out of line even a little bit.
Well, he's running when he leaves the presence.
Right.
We see a brief view of him running down the corner. Yeah, my first thought with the very first scene at the episode that Dusk is gazing out of his balcony on the last day of the rest of his life. And, he also goes past a new Dusk already in the clone tank and greets that fully formed baby as Empire. And, they have several, when we've been in the clonatorium, as I call it, we've had a sort of a pause shot on that fully formed baby floating around. And it's often made me wonder, well, so is Dawn actually born as a baby? Because then we also see an older version of Dawn. A cloned Dawn.
Yeah.
And it kind of, what's the function of this? And now I know. I mean, a little touch of, what is it, Chekhov's gun? We see
Chekhov's baby.
Chekhov's baby, yeah.
Oh, boy.
We see the baby there. We don't know why, and suddenly we know why, and it's an absolute yes.
Yeah.
Answer.
Absolutely awful. Look, I wasn't trying to downplay the baby death.
I know you weren't. I know you weren't.
Yeah, I was just, for me, I was like, oh, that's very sci-fi, so I can dissociate from that. You know what I mean? The body parts, I'm like, yeah, that could happen. So let's not have that.
Well, once it was really clear what kind of a bloodbath we were in for, I just didn't look at it.
So, were you eating lunch this time?
It might have been breakfast.
No. I should have warned you not to eat lunch.
Yeah, I'm accustomed. And from the very beginning, I don't really think that the Taylor wanted Darkness to hug her.
No.
Talk about invasion of personal space.
Imperial HR is going to have to send out a memo here. Like,
something.
Hey, let's coordinates.
Yeah. And when Darkness asks his major domo, he says, I think I'm old enough now to walk down a hallway myself. I was already very suspicious.
Yep, me too.
Even though we didn't actually see him bypass the nanite removal station at that point. But I just thought, no, he'd already been in that clonatorium with all kinds of unbalanced comments that he was making.
And he was almost frolicking once he was out, right?
Oh, he was beyond.
He was giddy.
He was. And when he first enters it, we get the musical theme of Empire going on, which has always been very dark and broody and emo bassoons and little instruments. But then, as he starts to destroy the clone, Demerzel's lullaby. And it was absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, all her babies.
There's a definite touch of the Lears in this. I was thinking of the blow winds and crack your cheeks, rage, blow. And of course, he was being the wind. It was just ghastly. And then he does finally take the baby, and it's the sound of the baby crying that lead Day and Demerzel from the appalling scene of the slaughter to trying to rescue this baby from another circular space in the center of which the whole floor plan of this whole thing is a little confusing to me. So, and I thought he was using a beam from the Novacula, which definitely did not make sense to me, because I thought that once that started, it's like a chain reaction.
No, I think this
black
was
hole.
just...
So it must have been something else altogether.
This was your standard.
So, A, how did he get up there? B, when? I mean, I know these are, again, questions that...
It's actually just how they dispose of the refuse.
In a very high tower turret with a, kind of formal, round, beautiful
Taylor Swift takes a private jet when she wants to get a steak world, so...
rich people... This is Taylor Swift.
Rich people do what they're going to do. We don't understand them.
Well, I definitely don't understand darkness here. Definitely do not. And of course, by the way, it didn't take me too long to figure out, okay, that's where the title for this episode
I was going to about that. Yeah, the darkness is, the dusk ascends to darkness here, right? And instead
or descends, I think, is a better way to put it for this time.
Yeah. It's really interesting stuff. Somebody was asking, I think it was on Reddit, they were talking about why is it that Dusk seems so much younger than the other Dusks at the time of their death from that scene in the middle, in the beginning of the season. Right. And that this Day seems younger than, the almost dusky Lee Pace that was there. And they point out that, like, this was the whole moving everything up, right? It used to be, I think, 60 they ascend.
Right.
Now it's something younger. Now he's probably like 70 years old instead of like 90 years old.
Yeah, it could well be that Demerzel just decided, with the genetic program already pretty wonky, let's not let age kind of wear it down even further.
Well, it was a Day, right, who put it into place. Because Dusk basically asks Day earlier in the season, like,
right,
hey, buddy,
can't you extend me? But still, at the end of the day, if Demerzel didn't approve, it wouldn't have happened.
That's probably true.
So she has to have some agency in this.
Right.
And, of course, the cruelty of using the threaten the life of a baby Cleon, which almost impels Demerzel to rush in to save it because of her programming. Again, it's just really pretty heinous to me.
Yeah.
And interesting that her Prime Radiant survives.
Yeah, why is that stronger? But then at the end,
well, Darkness says something about, what is this made of? Or whatever. Right. I can't remember the exact phrasing, but I'm not sure what the clue is, but we can wait until whenever you
well, I'll also
perceive
say
the clue coming up.
I'll also say why is it that this laser was hot enough to melt a robot, but he can just pick up the Prime Radiant,
and it doesn't even feel hot.
It doesn't burn him, right? He's not like, ow,
right?
I feel like it should like burned his fingertips. Yeah.
At the very least.
Yeah, I mean, this clearly has to do with Kale, right? Like Kale was able to do the. I think it is that the robots were somehow involved with Prime Radiant, because at the end we see the robots at the very end.
I agree with. So I suppose what you mean is Kale,
robot Kale,
some kind of material, right? Robot Kale had some kind of material that was
we could talk about it. I am not sure that robot Kale was always Kale, or is that this is a robot that took the form of Kale?
And I'm not even sure if I think we're meant to read her as a robot from the final scene. We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but that was another question of mine.
I think so.
I also feel it was a shame that Demerzel had already descended to such a level of confusion, because the logical solution would have been just shove Brother Darkness, who should have been dusted by now anyway, into the ray and use him as a shield against the baby.
I thought you were going to say just kick the baby out of the way.
That too, whatever.
But I did think, like, why isn't she just like moving him out of the way? She's already on top of him. Just move him out of the way, and then you can drop roll and fix yourself later. But
it doesn't work.
It was yeah. I didn't think of that. It did seem a little cheap to me that she just like stayed on top of him. She didn't have any other solution. Well, I mean, you could also argue that maybe like the heat, the pain overwhelmed her and she wasn't able to move anymore.
Sure. But I still think that she's feeling so at this point with too much going on all at once, and goes with sort of the gut level 1 choices without having time to do all the logical explanation of, well, what are you? Obviously, it took me a while to think of the solution. In the meantime, I wasn't, being so kind of tends to disrupt your thinking process. I would think. I've never had it happen though, so I was very amused when I was dictating my lines to my dictation bot, and I said, attacks darkness and chases him into the dining hall, shouting that Demerzel could have been freed from the imperative to serve Cleons. And my bot inserted crayons in there instead of Cleons. And I'm like, yeah, let's save the crayons and forget the Cleons. And darkness never did get rid of his nanites, and he slaughters the defenseless day at this point, and then tells him, the dream lives on in me because you kept it alive. Which,
that was such a mockery. Wow.
It really vile.
Yeah. I mean, but right? Like,
plan? You think he even has a plan?
But he has the wherewithal to be like, get rid of the other thrones. It's just me now. But
yeah,
who's his heir? Can he hold it with his military might?
He's not thinking strategic. Strategy went out the window for this guy.
To live one more day, basically.
It's the revenge. Quant called it.
Yeah.
The destruction of 3 worlds. She said this was petty revenge.
Now, do you think he does this if she had the last meal with him, he had a good night, and he wakes up in the morning refreshed? I think.
Of course he does.
Just wanted that night with her.
Yeah. Because he knew he was never going to get it again.
Right. She was going to be horrified. If she walks in, he's blood covered and,
Absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And interesting that he demands that only the center, hold that thought, listeners, because I have some comments when we come to another section further down here.
It's interesting because by the time of this in the books, Empire is basically done, right? It is a remnant of itself.
Yeah.
And it barely exists, right? See that all happens off screen. So it's really interesting to see this depiction of what happened to Empire.
And I think the book concepts are that it's just a bunch of, jacked up war generals all fighting each other and trying to claim what. Again, very much modeled after what happened with the.
Right, and there's no clone dynasty in the book, so
no,
that's all show creation.
And it really is interesting, as you were doing a little bit of already, to say, so with their Cleons now, because there ain't no more cloning tanks, and I really is capable of, please being capable of conceiving a child. Although, of course, there's always, genetic implanting, or I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they have the technology at this point, right?
Yeah. Into a willing or unwilling woman.
They can literally, store a zygote, right? I mean, that's what Gale is doing for Salvor.
Indeed, they could. Oh, there's a terrible thought. Gale, protect that zygote.
I had a band in high school, and I was trying to name it, and this girl who was in the band said, "Why don't we name it Zygotes and Friends?" And I was like, "Why?" Zygotes and Friends. She was like, "I don't know."
Gets people's attention, at least.
We did not go with that name. I just want to make clear. We did not become Zygotes and Friends. I don't remember the name of the band, but thankfully it was not that.
Thankfully, indeed. But now we get a little spooning?
A little spoon. Wow, that sounds very intimate.
Well, that's the first thing I thought of when I saw your notes here.
Let's talk about the spoons after we take a quick break.
Let's do.
Hey everyone, David here. We're almost done with Alien Earth, and I wanted to let you know about something that we've put together. We've created a season pass for our coverage. It's $10 one time, no recurring subscription. You can grab this whenever it works for you. What you get is ad-free access to all Alien Earth episodes, plus the bonus video analysis that I've already done, and several more background conversations and special episodes that I've got in planning. We put a lot of work into the episodes, and when it's all said and done, you're getting more than 10 podcasts for $10, which really is a pretty good value considering the amount of time and production work that we put into all the episodes. And look, we're an independent podcast, and having direct listener support like this means that we get to keep doing this kind of deep dive coverage that we all enjoy. It's pretty simple. So only if this works for you and your circumstances, no pressure at all. But if you've been enjoying Alien Earth coverage and want to support what we're doing while getting some extra content, the season pass is there for you. You can find the link in our show notes or head to lorehoundsnetwork.supercast.com. Thanks for listening, and thanks for being part of this really great community.
Spoon. Gale meditates before she and the rest of the rebels prepare to attack the mule. Harry uses his spoon to transport the rebels to command station, where he distracts the mule's forces and allows Gale to infiltrate the station deeper. Beta realizes she can escape and tries to bring Dawn, but he cannot walk well enough and tells her to go on without him.
So for those listeners who have poor memory or what the heck you're talking about, tell us about the spoons, John.
Just last episode. Just rewatch last episode, episode 9, because, we have a 4-dimensional object, which is the vault, which, again, definitely built by the robots, right? Like, that's where Harry got that technology.
Interesting.
That's true. I think there was a deliberate collaboration with the robots from Harry.
Could be, because Kali was so deeply involved with Prime Radiant from the very beginning.
Right. So there's that, and then it has a 3-dimensional shadow.
It was Gale who used the spoon to demonstrate the concept.
That's true. That's true. But then this episode, didn't they go spoon? Spoon.
Yes, as if, basically to say, okay, is it time for me to do the thing you wanted me to do?
And I thought that was funny.
Yes, I did too. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yep. So anyway, you put the 3-dimensional shadow over the 3-dimensional space. You tilt the shadow to pour the people into the 4-dimensional object. And you can do vice versa, apparently. You can put them back onto a place. And so that's why the vault was moving the shadow. So the 3-dimensional shadow was on the... I'm just trying to... I'm not as smart as these psychohistorians.
Don't try to explain it. Just recognize they have an explanation.
Yep.
That's good enough for me.
It honestly was... I did enjoy the metaphor, right? I thought that it was a good way to explain it.
And at least the 3 and 4 dimensions was... even I, who never can conceive just enough of what they're talking about to understand what they're aiming at without really seeing, okay, this is how it actually works.
I thought it was an odd choice to put the Friends theme song over the montage of all her friends, though. So no life was gonna be this way. I think... I honestly, though, you overlay that on it, and I think it works.
Well, I had kind of a different take. The visual of this room of hers, her inner mind palace, to me is very beautiful and very satisfying. And she's drawing upon all of those who loved and supported her. So, yes, friends can love and support you, but, the parents, her daughter, her mentor Harry, her lover Raish. And she says, these are my strength. Harks back to what Preem said to her last episode. that she has something Mule doesn't, which is a community.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked that a lot. And I'm still kind of astonished as to why Maggie is a part of the team.
Yes, exactly. And
Maggie is there without any explanation.
And with no restraints, with
no
his busy
restraints,
sonar.
No whatever.
And that is my number one case of why Beta is not the mule.
Mine too. I mean, I have a whole litany of things to say. Of course, you could argue because of something at the end, which we haven't gotten to yet, that they knew it was okay to have an unfettered Maggie in their midst, but I don't know. I love the little exchange. Gail says to Pritch, I seem to remember you telling me that assassination is a failure of some kind. And Pritch says, for one second there, I have no idea why, but when Harry joins the team, he reminds me of George Reeves, I think it was, from the old TV Superman. We're talking back to the late 50s, early 60s. No, there's no reason why. I don't know. It just, the whole suiting up kind of thing. Avengers Assemble.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, the visual of it just made him think of that. Whatever. That's
pretty fun, though. Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple things in this scene that give me clues that Beta is not the mule, and I am firmly hold that Beta is not the mule. That this is a secondary fake out.
I am with you.
Secondary fake out.
I am of the same mind as you, John.
The whole show, I thought the mule was not really the mule.
Right, me too.
And that's in part from book knowledge, but I do think this is a secondary fake out.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think part of it is the compassion towards Dawn would have been wildly unnecessary if she was the real mule. I think she believes she's the mule right now.
Yeah, but guess who's putting it in her mind? And we won't say.
Somebody around, somebody in proximity.
The mule there somewhere. Yeah. And Pritch only goes to save Beta at Torin's request.
Right.
And as you say, when she's in the sickbay with Empire, she says that she's hearing lots of order, which I love. Well, I guess the Foundation really isn't doing so well if they can only issue cheap boots to their security officers.
Well, it's the second Foundation. They're less about the glitz and glamour and more about the
No. This is the first Foundation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Those are the guards.
Those are the guards of the first Foundation. And why would she try to take Dawn with her?
Right.
And, of course, Dawn explaining that, look, I can't even walk. But I love his line, even sitting up is not a bad last stand. And Beta says, goodbye, Empire, do I bow? And Dawn says, no, you run! Which I enjoyed that.
So there's clues both ways, right? Because there's that whole Maggie going, I love Beta, right? That, I think, is a clue that she was the mule.
I
also think it can be a clue that she's not the mule.
I agree.
So there's ways you can argue both ways, but I am going in the Beta is not the camp.
I just find there's too much of a personality shift.
Yes.
At certain points.
Right.
And in our final thoughts or whatever, I can hark back to an earlier thing going on in one of the episodes that seems to eliminate the possibility of her.
Now you could argue like she does change minds pretty much everywhere she goes, right?
Yeah, not to this extent.
Yeah, well, but I mean, like, she wins people over pretty easily. Is what I was trying to say.
I know. They've tried to hype that up. They've tried to hype up the fact that she started from quote unquote low beginnings, etc., etc. But no, not the beginning of being drowned by your parents because they preferred your baby sibling to you.
Well, we did see that flashback with a girl now, right?
Oh, didn't we just?
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is the objection the concern that I've had throughout. And a major plot line includes the ability to do mental manipulation.
Right.
Because it becomes very hard to decide, is this really real or is this what I'm supposed to think is real?
Now, if this is a secondary fake out, do you think that's a cheap way to do the story?
No, I think doing it is to fake out the book readers.
I don't feel faked out. I just feel frustrated.
No, and actually, there's a little bit in the book where for 3 nanoseconds, Torin does actually believe that Beta is the mule.
That's true.
In completely different circumstances, nothing like what we've seen at all. So maybe they were kind of harking back to that or something. Hoping we hadn't read the books, for 10 years and thought, oh, yeah, I guess that did happen, didn't it?
Right.
Who knows?
I'm really curious where they're going to bring this plot line. Let's get to the rest of the confrontation here. Gale and the mule in a mental battle where she finally bests him, slitting his throat in both mind and reality. When the mule dies, Gale realizes that something is wrong and he wasn't the mule all along. Beta walks in and declares herself to be the mule, taking control of the situation, making Pritchard shoot Gale, who's never known such love. She will be converting her now. But when Magnifico starts playing, Beta is thrown off as Gale has tampered with the Visisonar.
What I actually heard was they had altered Maggie's programming. It's not that they tampered with the Visisonar.
But I thought they
pretty
tampered
sure
with
she
the
says
Visisonar.
we've messed with your balladeer. She specifically says the balladeer.
Okay, you're right. All right, so let's issue a correction before we get all these emails in here. So they messed with Maggie. Or did they?
Or did they? Yeah, layers of right.
I'm so deep in this now. I need season 4 right now.
I'm telling you, if they're going to be this intriguing about it all, don't make us wait for 2 years. I mean,
I do think this would have been an amazing episode 9.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I would have liked to see a little bit more closure.
They left it mostly out on if it would have been got left out in the field, and what would they do for episode 10, but possibly extend the gore, but I'll get to that later on.
I think I should say I think that this mule stuff would be really good in episode 9, and then more mule plot in episode 10.
Yeah. Miss was able to play an important role in leading the team in Bar's private bathroom. And of course, my first thought was, oh my God, I hope they took care of the body already.
Oh my God, yeah.
It really conjured up unfortunate memories when they mentioned that. But, I think that was a good way to handle it.
I think so too.
I do like the way that they had the mental struggle, the mule and Gale. Yeah. I don't think they carried on too long. I don't think it was overly violent. I mean, yeah, slitting the throat is kind of gross, but I suppose she had her reasons.
This was actually an adaptation issue for the Wheel of Time, is that the magic system in Wheel of Time does not require you to move your hands at all, do any motions. You can just use your mind to do everything to control.
Sure.
And so there's a big battle in book where it's 2 women standing there looking at each other,
which does not go over in a visual medium,
right? There's actually a line that says if one couldn't channel the power and couldn't see it, they would just see 2 women staring at each other, looking very serious,
right, and intense, and sometimes strained, and
right,
probably,
right. And so I think that's a challenge in visual medium. So they added the choking, they added the throat slitting, but I do agree with you. I think that this was a really good mental battle here.
And the whole choking theme for Gale started in the very first episode.
Yeah.
It has continued on throughout. So the theme of choking, the theme of drowning, sometimes together, sometimes separately.
And sometimes she turns that drowning into a strength, right? Because that triggers her power.
Exactly. That helps her get her into the... I love when she says, you are still back on Rossum, wondering why your parents loved that baby more than you. And I'll just say here as a subtext, notice that she says that baby, not, your sister or your brother or whatever.
Right.
So that's interesting. And so again, this strength of community, your weakness is that your parents didn't love you and were really horrible to you. And so ever since then, you have had to make sure that everybody who follows you loves you.
There's a little salt in the wound from Gale. She's like, defeat you. And also, Your parents think you suck
didn't
too.
love you, right? But that's your ultimate weakness. Whereas, again, community was her strength.
I bet you Gail and Pritch have had a fight where she goes, "You're just like your father."
I hope not. Not.
Well, anyway.
And the whole thing about Pritch shooting Gail when she's trying to escape. I mean, what was that in aid of? I don't know.
Oh, it was, shoot out the legs, make her get down. I think it was more of a stun blast anyway. It didn't seem to do much damage to her.
She was bleeding.
Yeah, but I mean, it was more of a warning shot.
Well, it couldn't have damaged her that much given
she ran away.
Her subsequent behaviors. So I guess it was just intended to cause pain, which I have to think is a distraction for the kind of mental concentration you have to if you're going to try and do any mental shenanigans.
Right, but I did really like the face. I thought the actor really sold it when she hears him go, "I've never felt such love." Oh
God.
That was great acting there, She was really selling the heartbreak of
the two of them.
I lost you,
Unquestionably.
And she had just verified that she was the one he loved the most. And then it's not just I've never felt such
love. Which, I think has to be true because it's completely artificial.
Right.
So why not make it an overwhelming love? You kind of have to in order to overcome a lifetime of, independent feelings and independent feelings that are going to take you in a very different direction.
Right.
Desired by the one posing it on you. So yes, they give us an image of the same drowning sequence, but this time it's a daughter instead of the face of the mule that was supposed to be the mule, the pirate mule, I guess we can call him.
The Pule.
The Pule.
We can enjoy now.
The Pyrule.
The Pyrule. That's funny. I was just gonna say, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. This whole thing, this whole, switcheroo.
Yeah.
Obviously the pirate mule was not the real mule, but it's
you and I figured that from almost the very beginning.
Of help from Isaac Asimov. I mean, come on. I'm not giving us too much credit for that one.
Okay.
All right, on to the library. Gail narrowly escapes the station and Harry asks again for a body. Gail confesses that the human Harry is dead and leaves Vault Harry behind. Meanwhile, on the orders of Ambassador Quent takes Kale's 9th proof of folding to the library. The librarian welcomes her to the hiding place of the Second Foundation. And what does Preem have like a welcoming bit where he tips his hat a little bit?
That brought tears to my eyes, John.
Okay.
Because suddenly I'm back in the books again. I'm in familiar territory. This character is a much admired and respected and trustworthy character. Mm-hmm. And those are kind of thin on the ground in this series. Let's just say right up front. If they ruin his character, I will
He gets converted episode 1 of season 4.
Yeah, don't tell me. The whole thing about, she's got a blaster wound in her torso and she runs down a corridor and, breaks a window and goes down on top of a convenient shield that she just happened to pry from the wall. I mean,
yeah, that was silly.
A little hard to take.
I think there's just going to be a level of John Wick, Kill Bill action in these kinds of shows because they need to sell it and they need something for the trailer.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I do remember the trailer from the, the trailer, I guess it must have been. And I don't know. I found Vault Harry a little deserving of sympathy and compassion here. But Gail tells him right up.
Yeah, she totally duped him, though. I think
she did.
Very, very.
Although what you said is you lied to me, and she responds, "You heard what you wanted to hear."
I don't know. He doesn't have any glands anymore. I don't know if he wanted to hear anything.
I didn't have time to go back to do a re-listen to their conversation to know how true that was, but do recall that the minute that she and Harry first walked out of the vault and Pritch was coming up, she quickly sends him a mental message saying he doesn't know Harry's dead. Don't tell him.
Right.
They knew what she was doing. But for whatever reason, well, she can't tell him then, because if she does, he might not cooperate, and she really needs his cooperation right now.
Right.
So, ends and means, I suppose. But his line, the vault is, I sit and stare at black walls made of my own remains and wander like a ghost.
That does sound like an unfortunate existence.
Well, yeah. I mean, remember way back, I think it was season 1, we saw, Flesh Harry, the dimensional space and not knowing where he was or what was going on or whatever. And at one point he screams at Gale, I was inside the whatever it was, the knife or whatever, So he's really gone from one horrible experience to another.
Well,
and then when he splits himself off.
Yeah.
So, and this kind of goes back to the question you asked me on the previous recording episode. Would I rather be able to be a robot and have all knowledge, or would I be a human and be content? And now that we compare Fleshy Harry's end with Vault Harry's end, I think that's a big reason why my answer was no. I don't want all knowledge.
Well, to be clear, I asked if you wanted to be an AI companion like that guy, because I think I'd choose to be a robot in this world, right? You could get it all then. You could experience it all.
Not me.
All right. Well, I'll hold down the robot fort for you.
Yeah, well, somebody needs to, huh?
Somebody's got to occupy the moon.
Yeah. Can I just say I absolutely adore Quint's palazzo? I've recently discovered palazzo pants, and I love them, and I've gotten several pairs for myself. So when she walks into the library and her palazzo pants are going swish, swish, I said, yes.
Well, you can be the next Foundation ambassador.
This is cool.
That qualifies you.
I'd rather be the next librarian.
There you go. So here's a question. It's speculated earlier in the season, I'm going to give you some internet points, that the librarian was part of the Second Foundation. Do you think that she was, or that she was let in on this? No. I think she was from very early on, because otherwise, I don't think Gale would have chosen her as a empire to the Second Foundation. I think you're right, and I also think she wouldn't know that they're there right now. She would just not be told.
Who would not know?
The librarian would not know that the Second Foundation
would not be told that the Second Foundation was there?
Right. If she was not Second Foundation already.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that just...
right. So, I think you were right. So, internet points to you.
Thank you.
What are you going to spend them on?
Oh, I don't know. What's on offer?
We don't have much, but we do have bragging rights.
Yes, bragging rights. Those are always fun, for sure.
You can get a Severance waffle party.
Yeah,
I don't think you want one of those. The things
I know about Severance, I'm not sure that I care to. I think anytime anybody tries to convince me to walk into Severance territory, I will smile politely and look for the nearest exit.
How about a bowl of next rough episode?
Sure.
All right. That's your prize.
Actually, no, not a bowl of cereal, please. Chocolate.
Okay.
Chocolate. Dark chocolate.
Well, I mean, I feel badly for Vault Harry. I did really like that shot, though, of Gale.
That's spectacular. Beautiful. That was spectacular. Oh, and by the way, I just remembered something further now. I'm finding myself beginning to wonder if the librarian is, in fact, a robot, too. Just because of the way she walks and talks and her demeanor is... I don't know. And, I know you got to have some kind of robotic something or other to control a library of even human size, never mind a library that's on Trantor.
Right.
But we'll see. We mustn't see robots in every corner. But we do see a few robots on a specific, not a sphere.
Right.
You want to tell us about that?
The brazen head sparks to life, transmitting a signal across the universe to the moon of Earth. There, Kale receives the signal, noting that another robot is seeking a clasp. She says that all the pieces are in place. We close on a lunar Earthrise.
Yeah, this dialogue was frustratingly intriguing.
Yeah, right.
All of these little teases, you know. And you said something about you think Demerzel sent out a last blue her eye.
I don't think I said that. Did I say that?
Somebody said that,
I didn't
and I
mean to
think
say
you're the
that.
one I'm talking about.
I should be the other one you're talking about it too.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't think I said that.
She's lying in the puddle of goo. We were talking about oh no more Demerzel. And that's when you said, well, I'm not. There was a signal that came out of her.
Oh, eye. I think I did say this.
Yeah,
I think
did.
I did say. I can't even remember all the things I say.
That's all right. You're a father of 2 young kids.
I know. I can't be responsible for all the things that I say.
Or the things that you forget that you say.
Right.
But yeah, I trying to discuss the moment that actually gave the Brazen Head the final impetus it needed to say handshake accepted and start broadcasting out. I'm not quite sure that's it, because we're told that Kali says perhaps someone is seeking to embroil us in the struggle. They say, oh, we're receiving, no, that's what it is. We're receiving a signal for a hand clasp from Trantor. It's here, so it's the companion robot to Kali saying this, and Kali says perhaps someone is seeking to embroil us in the struggle. And the other being responds, someone must have succeeded.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And Kali replies, then all the pieces are in place.
Yeah, and then I do think it's possible that Demerzel woke up the Brazen Head. Here's why I think that might have been possible is the chip that was controlling her was in her neck.
Exactly.
Right? Her neck's gone.
So it's melted now. Huzzah!
Yeah.
And loud cheers.
So in her last moment, she was free. She was able to wake up that, maybe that's her last act. Maybe we don't see Demerzel again.
I hope we see her again.
I do too.
It would just be because we still have leftover clans, my friend.
Yeah.
We still have Dawn.
Maybe Laura Byrne's just tired of playing the character, though.
Well, I mean, that's certainly a possibility. Golly, holding her hands in that position for 6 years now.
Right.
Gotta be tiring. But Darkness is, I think, set up to have some kind of competition.
I think so, too.
From the Dawn, and it's going to be a very emotionally... each of them loved their image of who the other was.
Right, and this Dawn is now going to be old enough to be Day, right?
Yes, and the Darkness will feel betrayed that Dawn allied with the Second Foundation, and Dawn has been absent by all the behaviors of Darkness, and he hasn't even seen all the carnage in the clonitorium and all the rest of it. So I don't think they're going to, embrace and shake hands.
The happy times are done. No, yeah.
No. And you know what? I felt that an episode Dusk had a tragic depth character about him. But I'm sorry, Darkness is just like a mad evil caricature with ghastly violent urges. I don't know. I suppose some people enjoy that kind of over-the-topness, but...
I think it's going to tamp back down, though. One of the Cleons is that they have this temper in them. And every now and then the temper awakens, and then they return to a sense of normalcy.
Well,
and this was just the worst time we ever saw that, right? I mean...
I hope. I devoutly hope.
Honestly, it's the worst time we ever saw it, but it's not the only time we've ever seen it. Like, look at the Day from last season.
Yeah.
Blew up new terminus, or blew up first terminus.
Right. And I'm wondering too, from the previous episode when he blows up 3 planets, there is not as much of a visceral reaction from the audience. So visceral. They really got visceral with this one, and maybe that was part of their reason for doing it that way.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, I really wish that they had taken away 3 minutes of bloody slaughter in the clonitorium and 3 minutes from Darkness's brutal punch-up with Day, not to mention Baby and Demerzel, to give us the 6 minutes we needed between the takedown of Beta Mule, which I still don't believe in, and Gale's frantic departure.
Hmm.
There is a chunk there that a lot of people have a lot of explaining to do.
Next season, or they might just yada yada past it, and I'd be okay with either of them, honestly.
No, if they yada yada past that, I will be very disappointed in them. I don't think that's good storytelling. And they were having a lot of fun spewing their fake blood and guts around, but I really thought they cut the wrong scene because continuity. I'm like, what? Is she not leading anywhere? Why is she running away? I can make up all kinds of reasons why. The most logical one being, as soon as she realized there was still another mule around, she booked it.
That I didn't actually have a problem with there being a gap. I thought it was just she weakened her enough to get her out of her head, but that's all she could do. She can't do that alone. She can't face off against this mule alone. Yeah,
so maybe that was it, but I just, isn't Pritch going to yell after her now that he's been released from the control?
Yeah, but she's Gale. She parkours.
Okay.
She goes. Also, I do think she's a more powerful mentalic than the rest of them, other than the mule.
Oh, I know she is.
And so she could just go to sleep, everybody.
Yeah, that's another possibility.
I think she very much could have done that. I didn't need them to tell me exactly how she got out of there. I was actually kind of glad we skipped. The logistics would have bored me.
But it needn't be logistics. They could have gone through some of the sort of same discussion we're doing here, where, Pritch is all set to, all right, let's go back and do it. And Gale suddenly says, no, I am out of here.
Right.
It was just too abrupt for me.
Okay.
It just was.
To disagree.
Yes, indeed, as we often have. Very amicably. Another reason why I don't believe that Beta can be the mule is because in the previous episodes, when they were escaping the vaults and the null field was extending, she got really scrambled by that. And they do show us one shot of Maggie also struggling on the ground in the null field, trying to get out. So, there was a lot of confusion and confuscation and so forth. And this was before we saw Maggie again. The sick computer confirmed that she was quite damaged. And she had to be carried out of the sick bay. And I don't know who could have turned Randu at that point.
I think that's probably right. I would. Here's my argument again. Is very well could have turned Randu before that, right? Very well could have turned him quietly.
Beta could have.
I look. I'm just making the argument for Beta being the mule, and I don't believe it either.
Okay.
But I think Beta could. They were alone for a while. She could have turned him quietly, and then when push comes to shove, he defends her.
Yeah, but it's weak. It's weak. She shows no mule-like tendencies all the way up to that point, as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it seems like Demerzel is to humans in some fashion. And again, the question is Kali a robot? They gave her that sort of metallic kind of look underneath the robe that she was wearing, so maybe we are supposed to interpret that.
Look at a phone from 10 years ago and look at your phone now. I think she's a robot, right? Like,
yeah.
Demerzel is an ancient robot. She is one of the first. And so I'm sure that Kale, somebody who can manufacture an indestructible Prime Meridian, is probably made of sturdier stuff than Demerzel was.
Yeah. I think she kind of has to be. So was her companion robot one of the ones who wanted Harry to have skin in the game, and that was why his life was extended? So that he could do the work on Ignis until Kale came to take him through the portal. I still want to know. Maybe it's just supposed to be a metaphor for death. And
no, I think that it led back to the moon. that portal took them to the robots, and I think Harry's there right now. I don't think he's dead.
Okay, well, I would love for that to be true.
Because not much time has passed, right? I don't think that.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, I don't think much time.
And of course, there's the much-loved rule, no body, no death.
Yeah. No, I don't think that was just like a metaphor. I think that was actually just a portal to the moon.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. That's really interesting.
I mean, it could function as both, right? Like, that's a metaphor for his...
Yeah.
I don't think you take Harry Seldon off the board in this whole show.
Yeah. Well, in that case, we still have at least one. I mean, Vault Harry is kind of,
Yeah, that's
there.
true. That's true.
Goodness knows what he's going to do now, because I think in terms of, coming out at the end of each Seldon crisis is kind of old. Probably by the wayside, the whole thing is probably in ruins.
Yep.
Yeah, I really had a lot of hopes for this final episode, and maybe that was unrealistic. But, wanting to have enough threads tied up, but still enough questions to... But it really felt chaotic to me. And I suppose part of that is my whole reaction to how much time was wasted on Darkness's insane vengeance, which was bloody, vile, and disturbing as far as I'm concerned.
I was honestly fine with the whole Darkness.
I know you were.
Plotline.
I know you were.
I know you are more. I don't love it. Like I won't watch like a body horror movie. Like I won't watch like a Saw movie or something like that. I just don't enjoy it. But if it's incidental to what's happening, I think I'm all right with it sometimes. Unless there's a needle, and then I'm not fine with it. But
we all have our points.
Then I will close my eyes for a second. But anyway, my point is, I was okay with it. I thought that the Cleon parts of this episode were the strongest.
Yes and no. Now, at some point, I remember it had to have been you again. That being eaten was a concept that was coming up. And in any case, it seems to me that all three Cleons had this experience. Dusk eating the sacrificial lamb that kind of was what he was about to be. Day being eaten, and Dawn's spacesuit eating his legs. So, I mean, there's sort of this they're all being constructed in certain ways, and eating seems to be a big benefit.
I never thought about there was the very hungry caterpillar there all along as the true villain. Yeah, Dawn is that's still an interesting hanging thread for next season.
Yeah, and I'm very glad that they left that.
And what's the mule going to do with Dawn? Now, I don't think if the mule tries to use Dawn as a bargaining chip, Dusk gives a crap. Right?
Oh gosh, no!
I think he's like, kidding? Keep him.
No, please have him. Really want to be the only Cleon left.
Yep, that's unfinished work over there. Do me a favor and execute him.
And yet, I think he's only ensured that Empire is going to descend into chaos. Who? No,
it was his successor. Yeah,
did so much.
Yep,
of all the work. Darkness can't possibly do all the things that need doing. So how long before somebody, too many people are going to be sick and tired of this tyrant?
Right.
And rise up and murder him, nanites and withstanding. I'm sure he puts the ore bracelet back on.
And I'm sure the nanites can only up so well. Right? Like eventually there's not going to be enough nanites to, if you disintegrate a body, you're all done.
Well, and, maybe the nanite maker is going to say, we're done.
Right.
We're out of here. And maybe there will also be from an uprising led by Songbird and Ocean Glass.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to see that. I really hope we do see more of Mike Jin.
Yeah. It's interesting because every season we've had to do a big jump for the next season, right? And I think this time we're going to pick up right where we left off, or maybe a few months after.
I think you're right. I'm not sure how else we can do it. I imagine, does Gail know where the second foundation is currently located? Because she specifically said, don't tell me.
She does not. I really don't think she does.
So
Good
she may join with
it. Yeah.
She may join with Torin and a cleansed beta and a few other people to see if they can find where the second foundation.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll take. I'm thinking about a character from the third book that you are fond of. Maybe they'll give that to Gail.
That's a distinct possibility, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we have yet to see, the ancestor of that character.
Right.
The two ancestors producing the one who.
Right.
So.
I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because that does seem to be the sort of thing you're doing.
All right. Well, we did it. We did it, Marilyn. We did the whole season. Again, we'll be back next week for a season wrap up. We'll read all feedback that you send in. So send that in quickly. We're going to be able to record this. Just send it in quickly. empire@thelorehounds.com if you want to chat with us. If you already sent it in, I have it. Don't worry about it. But definitely send in an email. I'm not going to be taking Discord feedback, just emails. We'll do that. We'll do a book spoiler section, and we'll talk before the book spoiler section. We'll make sure that's something. We'll talk about, our hopes for next season, our hopes for what's going on.
Yes.
All right. Check out all the other stuff on the network. Never Mind the Music is just about to start their second season. They just did another mailbag. They are having a great time over there on music and psychology talks. And Radioactive Ramblings, Aaron Peacemaker with Alicia, and they are having a great time. And then in December, Radioactive Ramblings will be doing Fallout Season 2. You can check out Will Shift Dust and the Star Wars Canon Timeline podcast, which is a mouthful. If you want to hear Alicia do some breakdowns of Dune and Star Wars. Movie review, finishing up their bacon wrap season. They're having a great time with that. And you can listen to Rings and Rituals.
When it comes, which probably won't be until, a couple months before the beginning of season 3.
But if you're missing Marilyn's voice, head on over there. Head on over.
Yeah, and if you really are missing me, then David and I just recording of an episode for Alien Earth. So
I believe it's a bonus episode for subscribers, by the way.
I think that is the case. But David, if he'd asked me before Saturday, record an episode of Alien Earth, I'd say, what?
I know when he first suggested that, I was like, you're going to ask Marilyn to cover Alien with you? That seems a little odd, but I understood once he explained it.
What he asked me to cover was Peter Pan.
Right. Just
and he asked me about in less than an hour before we started.
That's really funny.
It was a lovely afternoon, but you got to be flexible,
Yeah.
And I had a great time.
By the seat of our pants over here, we're having a great time. So, as you said, David is covering Alien Earth with a slew of guests, including you. We just launched a season pass for it. It's $1. You get all the ad-free podcasts for Alien Earth and all the bonus content, like that conversation about Peter Pan and others.
Good.
Just one-time fee. You never have to pay for it again. Or you could become a Patreon Supercast subscriber to get all of our ad-free content and bonus content. So I know David's going to want me to mention the season pass. He gets very excited about season passes.
No, I think it makes sense. I'm glad that there's a season pass.
I think it's good for the bigger shows to give people an option to not have a recurring charge on their credit card, because I know a lot of people like to avoid those.
But also, they might not come to, what's the Lorehounds, but they say, podcast on Alien Earth, then, they get to know who we are, and they think, oh, well, maybe I'll check out the whole menu, which has a lot of very tasty things on it.
Exactly. All right. Well, if you want to support us, there are a lot of ways to do it. Like I just said, one way is by Booster, and I want to thank those people: Aaron K, Tiller the Thriller, Duve71, Athena A, Lestu, Nancy M, Ghost of Partition, Radioactive Richard, and Adrian. And our lore masters, our Patreon and Supercast subscribers, top tier, are Samartian, Michael G, Michelle E, Brian, Peter OH, Adam S, Nancy M, Duve71, Brian 8063, Frederick H, Sarah L, Gareth C, Matthew M, Sarah M, Andra B, Kwang Yu, Deadeye Jedi Bob, Nathan T, Alex V, Sub-Zero, Aaron K, Deli V, Mothership 61, Gnarls, Kathy W, Liz E, Elisa U, Neil F, Ben B, Scott F, Stephen N, Julia F, Kali S, Ilmariel, /Tim, Paul K, Bobby C, Jessica H, Red Zippy, and the TCS, our newest lore master, and Adrian. Thanks everyone for all really a huge help.
It sure is. And thank you, Gnarls, for putting a question mark at the end of your name so that John can grab a breath at that delightfully long list of wonderful people.
I always just take it as an opportunity. Gnarls?
Exactly.
All right, everybody. Have a good night, and we will see you next week.
Can't wait. Good night, folks.
The Lorehounds podcast is produced and published by The Lorehounds. You can send questions and feedback and voicemails at thelorehounds.com/contact. Get early and ad-free access to all Lorehounds podcasts at patreon.com/thelorehounds. Any opinions stated are ours personally and do not reflect the opinion of or belong to any employers or other entities. Thanks for listening.